Okay, so this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS series. In this video, again, we will look on the S3 service only, but a little bit more options. So now we will look about the S3 access logging. Okay, so basically what it means is, so let's suppose you have S3 bucket, and within the S3 bucket, you have some objects like files or anything, and something happened wrong. So maybe like someone delete your file, someone delete the files, or someone trying to access, some hacker trying to access your files, or there may be a more load on your S3 buckets. So how you go to know like who is trying to access the files, who is going to delete it, because there are no such, we are not storing any logs, right? So in this video we will see how to enable the access logging. What it means is, so if any request made to S3 bucket, whether someone trying to access the object, whether it is successful request or whether it is denied request, any request made to the S3 bucket, it should create a logs and it is stored somewhere. So what it actually is, so someone tried to make a request, any request to the S3 bucket. So if any request come, what it will do, it will create a logs and it will store the logs in another bucket, another S3 bucket. All right. So generally, like we create a one logging bucket, and because we don't want to store the logs within the same bucket, so generally for the logging purpose, it is recommended to create a different bucket. So we will store the logs into the different bucket. So how we can like achieve this? So open the S3 console. All right. So let's create a like do everything in a fresh. So let's create a bucket. So I've created a bucket too, and let's because we will like put our website and like try to access our website, and we'll see like whether the logs are getting generated or not. Also, it is recommended to enable the version like we have covered in the last video, and because we have to give the public access, so that's why I have uncheck it, and I acknowledge it, and let me give the tag as well. Okay, so that's it. So let's create a bucket. So now my bucket 2 has been created and object can be public. So object can be public. Right now it is not public, but it can be public. So let's upload some files. So we are uploading the same files like our index.html and Indian flag, which we have created in the last video. So both the files, we have uploaded it, and click on the upload, close. So close. So it get uploaded, and now go to the properties. So within the properties, we will enable the static website hosting because we will try to access our website. So let's enable it. And the document is index.html. So all the same thing which we have already covered in the past videos. So save the changes. Okay, that's done. Now go to the permission. So because the user has to access the bucket, otherwise he will get the access denied error. So let me show you. So if you go to the properties, and if you pick the URL and try to access, we will get the access denied because there is no policy attached with the bucket. So click on the permissions, and we have to give the general public access. So go in the bucket policy, we have to attach the policy, edit, and we will use the policy generator, which is a UI. We will have to use the S3 bucket policy. Allow principally means star, or like every user can like access this bucket. Action is get object. So search for the get object. So where is get object? So here is get object. Just click only one action, and the ARN should be the bucket ARN, Amazon resource name, but it is a get object. So get object action on the objects resides in the bucket. So that's why I'm giving slash and star, add statement, and generate policy, copy the policy, close it, and delete the existing policy and save it. So save the changes. So now if I try to, so let me close this and go to the properties and copy it. If I'm trying to access my website, I am able to access my website. But accessing the website, but nowhere like the logs are getting stored. All right, like who all user are performing the action, whether the request is successful, whether the request is failed. So how I can analyze? Because if something is happening wrong, I could find, because to do some analysis to find the root cause, we need some kind of logs. All right, so we have to enable the logging. So go to the properties. So if you go scroll down, so bucket versioning we have completed, tags we have completed, leave the encryption part. So there is a one option, server access logging. So log request for access to your bucket. So we have to enable the server request logging. So enable. But as soon as you enable, I told you we will enable the logging and it will store the logs in some another bucket. All right, in some another S3 bucket. So it is asking, okay, what is the target bucket in which you want to store the logs? So let's create a one more bucket. So go to the buckets and create a bucket. Bucket 2 logging. So no need to make it public or no need to do anything. No need to make the versioning like enable. So just create a bucket. So now bucket 2 and bucket 2 logging has been created, but these are not interlinked. So 1 minute. So let me go to the bucket. Let me copy this. So go to the buckets. So on this bucket, what we want, if anyone trying to access my any object within the bucket, this bucket 2, so it should generate a logs and it should store the logs. So under the properties, we will go to the server access logging section. Oh, let me close this. So server access logging section, go to the edit, enable it. So here we give the target bucket. But if you see the format is S3. Okay, S3, then colon, then slash slash, then the bucket name, and then you show the prefix. So prefix means with prefix the files are getting stored. So let's suppose we want the files should store with the names logs, logs. So we give the bucket and the bucket should be the logging bucket. So it is a different bucket. And automatically, because on this bucket, when we created the bucket, we have not attached any policy. But it is mentioned when you enable the server access logging, automatically it attach the policy with this bucket. So we will show you as well. So when you enable server access logging, the S3 console automatically update your bucket policy. Which bucket policy? Logging bucket policy, to include access to the S3 log delivery group. So save changes. So if you go to the permission and if you scroll down, so you could see bucket policy automatic, it updated it. We have not updated the bucket policy for the logging bucket. For the logging bucket, it automatically 1 second. It's no. We are checking the bucket 2, 1 minute. So we will go to the bucket 2 logging. And if you go to the permissions, and for this bucket 2, we have not updated this policy. And you could see the policy automatically get updated with this ID, policy statement do not modify. So all these get like updated. So effect is allow, like resources S3 put object, because the logs should be put into this bucket. So the action should be put object. A resource is which resource on we want to like providing the access, on the logging bucket, and on the logging bucket is like under all the objects. So it is a put object, not the get object, because our S3 bucket 2 will put the objects into the logging bucket. So that's why the action is put object. Okay, and who will put the object? So now we are thinking it should be the our S3 bucket. So ideally the service should resource and principal should be, it is not the user, but here it is the logging group. So there is a logging group because we have enabled the server access logging. So it is a logging group of S3 console that will try to put the object. So this will like basically get automatically get updated. Okay, so now we have to see whether actually the logs are getting generated or not. So go to the bucket 2 and go to the properties. So let's try to access our file, access our website. So we are trying to access our website. So we have accessed our website. Now maybe you can try to open this image in the new tab. So we have access like our image as well. So all the action are performing on bucket 2. So we are expecting the log should get generated. Okay, do few more things. And so if you go to the objects, let's try to manually like access this copy, and we have like accessed it. Okay, now do few more things. Let's try to delete it, india flag.jpg. So let me delete it, but it will not actually delete, it will make it as a delete marker because the versioning is enabled, which we have covered in the last video. Now you could see one object, but if you should show the show version, you could see like our file is there. But if you have to restore, we will click on this delete marker and we will delete our like delete marker tag. So permanently delete. We have already covered in the versioning section. So permanently delete. Now, if you close it, it's already been restored. All right. So we have been did a couple of things, like we deleted the object, we accessed the object. So a couple of things we have already performed. So what we are expecting in the logging bucket, the log should be logged. So if you open the logging bucket, we could see there are 0 objects. There are no logs. Why there are no logs? Because the logging itself take approximately more than 1 hour to generate the logs. Right, so after 1 hour definitely you will see here like the logs will be get generated. So what I will do is let me like pause the recording, and we will see whether the logs getting generated or not. Okay, so let me pause the recording. Okay, so 1 hour is completed, so approximately. So you could see the creation date time is like from 2111, and now the logs get generated at 2211. So it took approximately exactly maybe 1 hour to generate the logs. And you could see the prefix of our logs file started with the logs logs. Because why? Because when we like set our logging, so we have mentioned, if you go to the edit, so we have mentioned the prefix as a logs, because we have to mention the prefix. So we have prefix mentioned as a logs. So that's why all the objects within the logging bucket now started as a log. So we can like view the logs, just click on it, or you can open it directly. So we can see, okay, who is the user. So it is a website.get object and trying to like search the index.html by some user. Okay, so we can like, because the logs are getting generated, so let's and or you can download the logs as well. But if you try to access this log from here, you will not able to access, because the access is denied, because on this bucket we have not given the public access. So this is only for the internal purpose only. So many logs are getting generated. So if I randomly open any other logs, so so you could see the HTTP response code 200. So there is a get object like get request on this. So basically like we have like enable the logging. So that's it. So that's the end of the video. So but you can't directly like delete this logging bucket. So before that, if you do the cleanup, so first go to this bucket and delete the files. Delete. Now the file has been deleted. So go to the buckets. Now let me delete the bucket. Delete. So bucket is not empty. Bucket must be empty before this can be deleted. Okay. Yeah. So why this is happening? Because now we have don't have any object, and still we are unable to delete, and it is say bucket is not empty. The reason is because the versioning is enabled on this bucket and the version exists. So you could see the version exists. So would have to delete the version as well. So just delete it, select it, and type permanently delete. Now, if you try to delete the bucket, you will able to delete it. So delete it. Now you can able to delete the bucket. Okay, so this bucket has been deleted. So let's delete this bucket as well. But before that, we have to delete the underline objects. So delete. Have to mention permanently delete. Okay, so 19 objects has been successfully deleted, and go to the buckets. So delete the locking bucket as well, because we have done our practical, so we don't need these resources. So we have deleted the objects. So that's it. So that's the end of the video. Thank you.